Suena la primera campana, pan.
And then rings the first round.
Y este soy yo.
That's him. And the other guy thought he was scared of him. He was running back.
Yo tenía miedo de pegarle y cagarme ahí mismo.
What he was afraid of was hitting him and shitting himself.
Y pasó un asalto, 2 asaltos.
2 rounds.
Y 3 asaltos. 3 asaltos.
3 rounds.
Dice Plomo, ¿por qué tú no noqueas a ese tipo si ya lo tienes para noquearlo?
And then his trainer tells him, why haven't you knocked him out? You have him. He's ready to go.
Plomo, si lo noqueo me cago.
And he tells him, if I hit him and I knock him out, I shit myself.
No importa, cágate, no importa. Y vas de una vez te mete al baño.
He says, knock him out, even if you have to shit yourself, just knock him out.
Y el tipo me tira contra la cuerda.
Then the guy gets him to the rope.
Y abre la mano así.
He opens up himself.
Y yo le meto la derecha en el centro del ring.
And he just lands a right hand.
Y yo estaba todo vestido de blanco.
And his garment was white.
Y comenzó una vena caliente abajo por aquí.
And he just felt something warm running down his leg.
Calientito, calientito así.
Very warm.
Me había cagado.
He had shit in himself.
Y el hombre comenzó 1, 2, 3. Le digo, Plomo, tráeme la bata, tráeme la bata.
And then, the guy's out, 10 count, and then he tells him, bring me my rope.
Me puse la bata, Plomo no me quitó los guantes.
Plomo did not take his gloves off, and they put the rope on.
Y cuando voy bajando del ring,
and when he's getting off the ring, he got
viene
room
un
to fight.
francés de este tamaño
This big French guy comes
y me abraza.
and hugs him.
Y dice, oh, monsieur Duran, regáleme la bata, monsieur Duran.
Oh, Mr. Duran, can I have your robe?
Y yo, no. Oh, porque ya estaba todo chocolate.
It was all shitting.
Oh, chocolate. Oh, monsieur Duran, por favor, regáleme la bata. Y yo, no. Por favor, señor Duran, regáleme.
Mr. Duran, please give me your robe, please.
Give me la bata. Y yo, no. Y el tipo me aprieta.
And the guy just hugs him and
Y
squashes
se
him.
me va saliendo.
I hugged him very hard.
Y yo, ok, taqui. Salí corriendo.
He gave him the rope, he just ran
Tú
out.
sabes que los baños, tú sabes, checa, que en los baños siempre hay agua fría y agua caliente.
And then, in the restroom, there's hot
Y yo
water
desesperado
and
abrí la
cold water.
llave.
Cold water, hot water. He was very desperate.
Y metí la nalga
And he put his hand in the water,
y me quemé el culo.
and it was hot water and burned his ass.
Estuvo historia.
And
Thank you. It's a story. It's a real story.
and apparently the next day in L'Equipe, the French sports newspaper, the headline was, his opponent was in such awe of him, it was a classic case of the shit hitting the fan. So of all the modern day great fighters, who would your dad like to have fought, and who does he think he would have beaten? Maybe Mayweather?
Said he'd break Mayweather's ribs. Said that in the interview.
Bueno, como está la plata botada ahora, pelea con todo el mundo.
He says the way the money is right now, it's just about the money. I would have fought everybody.
What do you beat Mayweather, you think?
¿Usted se hubiera ganado Mayweather?
Dile que para Roberto no hay problema.
He says for Roberto Duran, no problem.
And we believe him. You.
We'll talk about the Super 4, which you were part of. I've seen gloves from yourself, Sugar Ray, and the Hetman Hearns, but there's no mention of Hagler. Was there any reason why none of his gloves were about?
Is there, your dad was part of the Super 4 tonight. He says that he has seen here Hearns represented, Sugar Ray represented, but not Hagler. Is there any reason why Hagler's gloves weren't in the room tonight? Your dad obviously fought him. It went 15 rounds, and Hagler, I think, just about did enough. Of course, your dad did move up considerably to middleweight for that, but the question is, why is Hagler not represented tonight? I think there was something in here. Anyway.
There was a glove for Hagler.
Yeah, there was. So, yeah, but Hagler was represented in the room. Yes, I'm going to take this young man here. There you go. He's asking at the weekend, Joshua and Klitschko fight. Who do you think will win? Will it be Joshua or will it be Klitschko?
He says, who do you think is going to win that fight?
Oh, who do you think's going to win that fight?
Joshua.
Joshua.
Oh, Joshua. Dile que no puedo hablar de esa pelea porque yo conozco a Crico, es un buen boxeador. El otro boxeador no lo he visto pelear y no puedo dar una opinión de un boxeador que no conozco.
He says that, it's a tough one because he hasn't, he's seen Klitschko before. He doesn't know much of the other fighter, Josh, right? He doesn't like to give opinions where he doesn't know much about.
Okay, question here. Thank you.
Hello, Roberto. I would like to ask you, when you won the lightweight title against Ken Buchanan in Madison Square Garden, how hard of a fight was it? How highly did you rate Buchanan? And who is the hardest lightweight you ever fought against?
So, how tough was the Ken Buchanan fight? How highly did your dad rate Buchanan? And who was the toughest lightweight your dad fought? At lightweight, that's it.
Buchanan dijo que no podía tener hijos.
Kenny said after my fight that he couldn't have no more children.
Y él dijo que apenas yo le pegué los huevos tuvo hijos.
He said before the fight he couldn't have children. But then after my fight he had children.
Dile a él que Buchanan sabe y todos pueden ver en la pelea que yo jamás le pegué los huevos a Ken Buchanan.
He says that Kenny knows he's good friends with Ken Buchanan, and you all saw the video. He never hit him on the balls.
Cuando el árbitro se metió, el golpe se ve que fue aquí, o sea que el golpe no llegó.
He said the way it's seen on TV, on all the footage, the way that the referee came in, the punch was just a little bit over the belt.
El golpe no llegó porque el árbitro me amarró.
Because the referee got in the frame.
Con el respeto de todos ustedes,
With all due respect,
sin faltar el respeto a nadie,
I don't want to disrespect
esa fue
anybody.
una excusa que él buscó porque él ya no podía ganarme a mí.
He thinks it was just an excuse in the moment because he was overwhelmed with all that pressure he was putting on top of
Porque
him.
yo quería ser campeón esa noche.
Because he wanted to become a champion that
Y
night.
cuando uno tiene la mente así, es muy difícil que le gane.
And when you're so determined to win a championship, it's very difficult for somebody to beat you.
Okay, thank you. One question down here, and on that night, that was your first world title, I think. He was 21 years of age. Technical knockout, Ken Buchanan in the 13th round, and Roberto Duran was well ahead. Question, sir?
Roberto, you were saying for a long while, Ken Buchanan gave you a toughest fight.
Hallelujah.
I want to know, why you never give him a rematch?
So, Roberto, the question is, why did you not have a rematch with Ken Buchanan?
Hallelujah.
¿Por qué no le dieron la revancha con Ken Buchanan?
for years. For years.
Buchanan nunca buscó la revancha, si yo estaba dispuesto a darle la revancha a él.
He was willing for the rematch, but Kenny's people never came back for the rematch.
Okay, and here's an exclusive for you tonight. Roberto will meet Ken Buchanan this Sunday after many, many years. Maybe you'll give him the rematch this Sunday, Roberto.
Dice que el domingo se va a encontrar con Buchanan.
Ah, it's my good friend.
Pero dice que se le va la revancha.
Ah, le pego ahí mismo a él.
I'll hit him right on the spot.
What will he say to him?
Hey, él dice que yo le pegué en los huevos. Si lo veo, lo voy a pegar de verdad en los
He
huevos.
says, Kenny says that he hit him on the balls. But on Sunday, when he sees him, he's really gonna hit him on the balls.
Hey, my friend, Buchanan is my friend.
He's very good friends
Hey,
with
my good
Buchanan.
friend, Mike.
Tell him it's okay to do it now. Kenny, stop having children.
Pues ya va para dejar hijos que Buchanan. Que Buchanan dejó de tener hijos ya.
Okay, so Roberto, are you ready for a really tough question? Tougher than any of your fights?
Una pelea difícil, dice.
My father is probably the biggest Roberto Duran fan here tonight, and he'd be asking all the questions, but I'm actually an Arturo Gatti fan, and I'd like to ask, how does Roberto think he'd have fared against Arturo Gatti?
Okay, so he's saying, it's a Dublin accent, you're Dublin man? He's saying his dad, Roberto Duran, is his dad's hero, but his hero is Arturo Gatti. How would your dad have fared against Arturo Gatti, and how would he have fought him?
Dice que bueno que usted es el papá de él, su héroe es usted. Pero él es fanático de Arturo Gatti. ¿Cómo cree usted que hubiese peleado con Arturo Gatti si lo hubiera ganado?
Yo conocí a Arturo Gatti cuando fue a Panamá una vez los carnavales con la esposa.
He says that he met Gatti when Gatti went to Panama one time for some carnivals with his wife.
Sin faltarle el respeto a él,
Without, disrespecting you.
Arturo Gatti no era el hombre que le podía ganar a Roberto Duran.
But he wasn't the man that could beat him.
Porque Arturo Gatti tenía no tenía defensa.
Because the way of his defense, he was way too exposed.
Cogía mucho golpe y se abría demasiado.
He would take too many punches and would open up himself too much.
Salía todo cortado, todo desbaratado.
That's why he was always cut and punched out.
Y ya cuando peleó con Mayweather, que Mayweather le boxeó, él no salió a pelear.
And you see it when he fought Mayweather, he was a cut.
Pero yo no soy Mayweather. Yo apenas suena la campana, yo le hubiera querido trompar y salir.
But he says, I'm not Mayweather. If I would have fought him, I would ring the bell, I would just go at it right away.
Y no hubiera sido problema para mí.
I don't think it would be, without disrespecting your question, it wouldn't be a problem for him.
Okay. Roberto.
Dile a ellos que yo arriba del ring parecía un bobo, pero dentro del ring yo era demasiado inteligente.
He says that many people would think that in the ring I was just, somebody who didn't think, but I was way too intelligent inside the ring.
Mi mente se desarrollaba cada vez que iba pasando la pelea y estudiaba más rápido el boxeador.
As the fight would go on, he would be developing, studying his opponent.
En los 30 segundos ya me daba de cuenta todos los defectos.
And in the first 30 seconds, I would already know the mistakes that my opponent will make.
Okay. Sir, this one.
Hallelujah.
When I was growing up, Roberto, my father always spoke about yourself as one of the, if not the greatest fighters of all time, but also a great socialist who fought for money and gave it back to the people. Your heart was with the people. Was that from the hardships you encountered, or was that just your good heart?
Well, we kind of asked that question already, but the question to be repeated was, his dad again was a fan of your dad's, not just because he was a great boxer, but because he was a great socialist, because he gave back to the people. How important was that for your dad to give back to the people of Panama who loved him so much?
Dice que bueno, más o menos la pregunta que se hizo un rato, que su papá también de él era fanático suyo no solamente por ser boxeador, sino por ser un héroe nacional, por ayudar a las personas. ¿Qué tan importante para usted es ayudar a la gente?
A veces la gente no piensa lo que habla y no sabe lo que dice, dile, que yo voy a contestar.
There's sometimes people don't know much what they say, don't think what they say.
Yo conozco mucha gente que tiene millones de dólares.
I know many people that have millions and millions of dollars.
Y no ayudan a nadie.
And they help nobody.
Cuando hay mucha gente que se está muriendo de hambre en el mundo.
When there are so many people starving in the world.
Cuando hay muchos enfermos en el mundo.
So many sick people.
Y cuando hay mucha gente de cáncer en el mundo.
And there's so many people with cancer.
Y ellos tienen 100 millones, 200 millones, 300 millones y no ayudan a nadie.
And you have $100, $200 million and you help nobody.
Y cuando se muere no se llevan ni un real.
And when you die, you take nothing.
Eso no lo ve Dios con buenos ojos.
And that is not seen with God's eyes.
Por eso, como yo nací pobre, yo sé lo que es pasar hambre, yo sé lo que es pasar necesidad. Y cuando yo veo a esa gente, yo prefiero quitarme la comida de la boca y dárselo a ellos porque yo la puedo conseguir, ellos no la pueden conseguir.
And what he wants to say now, and I can give faith to this, is that my dad says that he was born poor, he has money, and when he sees somebody who needs it, who really needs it, and is starving, or he needs clothes or whatever, he would rather take up what he has, give him what he has, and have that person to be fed and to be clothed because he knows what it is to be a poor person.
La plata a mí no me hace ni más rico ni me hace más pobre.
Money doesn't make me neither richer or poorer.
Después yo sea feliz con todo el mundo, yo soy feliz.
As long as I'm happy with everybody here, I'm happy.
I'll tell you a very, very quick story. A few few hours ago, I was in the company of Roberto's wife, Felicidad, and I said, Felicidad, so this is the first time you've ever come to Ireland? And she said, yeah, Roberto has always wanted to come to Ireland. So I said, why? Is it because we're such great fighters? And she said, no, it's because he loves whiskey. Your mom, she said he loves whiskey, he loves Irish whiskey.
Hey, wait, give me one bottle of water, please. Yeah. Sí, que lo voy a echar la historia. Ya vale todo con la historia, pero wait a minute. Hey, wait, give me water, please. Wait. Hey.
Agua, por favor. So there's water here. So let's do a little bit of.
Yes. Sí, lo voy a contar.
We want to ask some very specific boxing questions. I have some questions here from some members on the floor. So, you want some water? Yeah, here.
Martin drinks, of course, isn't it?
No me digo nada. Hallelujah.
Once or twice, and then often again for another 6 weeks. It's only been like after the last 3 or 4 years. So that's...
What did you say?
Doing door helps you stay away from the door. I see what does to people.
I know.
My girlfriend is my girlfriend a long time. Dile que lo conozco desde niño a él es hermano.
His friend from many years ago, since he was a kid, and his brothers.
Y vino desde lejos a verme a mí y eso me satisface porque él fue panameño campeón nacional también.
He was Panamanian champion, national champion, and he came all the way from, well, he lives in Ireland to see him.
Stand up. Welcome to Belfast. Okay.
He lives here.
Big emotion. So, I want to ask you about some fights. Your first defeat as a professional back in 1972, Esteban de Jesus. How much did that knock you back, your first professional defeat?
La primera vez que perdió en el 72 con Esteban de Jesús, perdió, ¿qué tanto le dolió eso?
La primera vez que yo peleé con Esteban de Jesús fue en Madison Square Garden y nadie fue a la pelea.
The first time he fought Esteban de Jesus, it was in Madison Square Garden, and nobody went to that fight.
Esteban de Jesús es puertorriqueño.
He was Puerto Rican.
Y todos los que trabajan dentro de la comisión de boxeo, todos son puertorriqueños.
Other guys working in the fighting commission are Puerto Ricans.
Referee, árbitro, todos son boricuas y entonces.
They were all Puerto Ricans.
A mí lo único que hizo Esteban de Jesús fue tumbarme y más nada, porque cuando él me tumbó, me contaron 8, yo me paré y yo le gané la pelea a él.
You know, he sees that, he says that, you know, Esteban de Jesus did knock me down, not knock me out, but he doesn't still feel that he lost that fight.
Pero bueno, dije, entonces ¿qué pasa? Ahora viene lo bueno. Cuando yo llegué a Panamá, me querían meter preso los policías para que yo fuera de que a entrenar. Y yo puse bravo y tú una pelea con un coronel o algo ahí.
So then when he came back to Panama, he was, you know, back in the day.
Folks, I'm just going to ask, we're going to conclude in 5 minutes, so for the last 5 minutes, which is the last 5 minutes, we in this room might be in the company of this, the greatest fighter of all time. Just a little bit of respect and silence, just for these last 5 minutes. Thank you very much.
So then when he came back to Panama, back in the day Panama was ruled by the military, they wanted to arrest him to take him to jail so he could train properly to an island.
Entonces yo me puse reverde y me dejaron ir para mi casa.
So then he didn't do it. He got pissed and he went back to
Pero
his
mi
house.
cabeza estaba que él no me había ganado a mí, que solamente me tumbó.
And in his mind, he only thought that he had, you know, knocked him down, but he didn't lose the fight.
Y yo le dije a mi manager que tenía que conseguirme esa pelea de todos modos.
And he told his manager, you gotta get me that rematch. You have to get me that rematch.
Y un día me dijo, hermano, ya te conseguí la pelea, prepárate. Dije, no, ya estoy preparado mentalmente para él.
And then his manager tells him one day, Roberto, I got you the rematch. And he told him, you know, you better get in shape. And he told him, you don't have to tell me that. Right here, I'm ready for that fight.
Y cuando me tumbó la primera vez, yo miré hacia la esquina, yo me eché a reír y le dije a mi entrenador que no había pasado nada.
And then when they had the rematch, and he knocked him down the same way, he looked at his corner, he starts laughing and he tells him, you know, nothing, no ha pasado nada, nothing.
Esteban de Jesús era un boxeador fuerte y yo tenía que estudiar en dónde estaba la debilidad.
Esteban de Jesus was a very strong fighter and I had to study him. I had to find his weakness.
Le pegué varias veces arriba y me aguantó todos los golpes que se pude
I
tirar.
hit him with everything I had in the face, in the head, and nothing.
Entonces comencé a pegar abajo y sentí que comenzó a aflojar.
And then I started working him with, you know, body shots. And then I saw him just starting to get softened.
Un boxeador no debe de vivir solo de una debilidad de pegarle al boxeador abajo, sino combinarlo de arriba a abajo, para que el boxeador sabe que tú le vas para abajo, él se va a cuidar y él va a dejar la parte de arriba abierta.
So what he did is that he started throwing combinations, head and body punches, and that's how he got Esteban de Jesus.
So, just the last few minutes, we want to talk about no mass or whatever happened around that. So you said, Roberto, and I quote you, I had a rage towards Leonard. I didn't want to beat Sugar Ray Leonard. I wanted to break him. You did beat him in 1980 in June, the brawl in Montreal. It went fully 15 rounds, but the rematch 5 months later, and very famously in New Orleans, we get to round 8. What happened? Did Roberto Duran say no más, no más?
Dile que yo nunca dije no más, que eso es mentira.
He never said no más.
Eso es mentira. Yo nunca hice así. Yo no hice así. Lo que pasa es que cuando yo me gané a Leonard, pues digo que yo nunca dije la palabra no más, yo no me hice así. Cuando yo me gané a Leonard, porque me dieron que cuando fui a pelear la primera vez con él, vieron que él era el rey de Nueva York y ganarme yo a Leonard en ese tiempo, yo era el rey de Nueva York y me quedé bebiendo y comiendo y me subí casi a 200 y pico de libras.
So when he beat Leonard the first time, you know, he became the king of New York. He was partying and drinking and having fun, and he went all the way up to almost 200 pounds.
Y después me llamó mi manager que me dijo que me fuera para Panamá, que ella había firmado la pelea de Leonard.
So then his manager calls him and tells him, you gotta get back to Panama, because I already signed for you to fight Leonard again.
Y entonces le digo, bueno, también yo me voy en una semana.
He says, all right, I'll go back in a week.
Y dice, no, tú tienes que venirte ya porque la pelea dentro de un mes.
He says, no, you gotta come back to Panama now, because the fight is in 1 month.
Sí, right. Y eso fue lo que le dije. No te me adelantes porque entonces me enredas. Y entonces, ¿qué pasa? Me había conseguido la pelea para un mes y yo no estaba preparado para un mes.
And he tells him, are you out of your mind? How am I going to lose all this weight in 1 month?
Es verdad, tuve dolor de estómago, para no echar la historia tan larga, apenas me pesé, me tomé un café bien caliente, después me tomé un vaso de agua fría y se me engarrotaron los músculos, además ni comí esa noche, porque cuando uno rebaja mucho no le da ni apetito, se le quita el apetito. Y cuando fueron pasando los asaltos, se me engarrotaron los músculos, me dolía el estómago y no podía respirar.
So yeah, and it is true. He did get the stomach cramp. After waiting, he was starving. He was trying to make weight. He was 200 pounds and he had to make the weight. In 1 month, he was starving. He was weak. So after the waiting, he had himself a cup of hot tea, then cold water. He started just eating, and his body couldn't handle that. During the fight, his body started cramping.
Do you regret it? Do you regret it?
¿Te arrepientes?
No, yo no me arrepiento. Lo que siento yo un poco sentido que Liena no me dio la revancha de una vez, pero mucho tiempo. Entonces él tenía que pelear, él me dio la tercera oportunidad, pero tenía que pelear conmigo en 148 libras, que ahí yo estaba fuerte y rápido estaba fuerte y rápido y en muy buenas condiciones, y me hizo rebajar a 140 libras cuando la pelea era en 148 libras y no quiso pelear conmigo en 48 libras sino en 42 y me agarró débil de nuevo.
So then, like he said, you know, he wanted to fight him. He doesn't regret anything. He just thought that he was going to have to fight in 148 and Leonard make him go down all the way to 142 when he was, you know, he was weak. He had nothing for that night.
Y yo tuve que coger la pelea porque se le debía una plata al IRS que no había pagado, mi manager, a los Deleta, no había pagado el IRS y me querían meter preso.
And he had to take the fight because he owed some money to the IRS, not because of him, but because his manager was stealing his money and was not paying the IRS. So if he didn't take that fight, he didn't pay the IRS, he would have gone to jail.
Okay.
Y bueno, ya usted puede ver que rebajé demasiado. Leona salió boxeando, salió yendo porque yo sabía que él iba a hacer esto. Y lo poco que me acerqué, le abrí una brecha y le partí la boca. Le saqué los
And
dientes.
then, you saw the fight. I mean, the little that we ever fought, because Leonard was always running in and out. The little times I hit him, I hit him in the jaw, in his face, and, it was just a clowning around fight. It was not a real fight.
Así fue. Bueno, me ganó. Yo estuve contento. Apenas bajé, me detuvieron el cheque y el Raya cobró los intereses que se le debían de hace tiempo y me devolvió lo que me tenía que devolver.
And then, I lost the fight. I came out of the fight. The IRS took all my money, and that's it. Short story.
Pero remordimiento no tengo en nada. Esto sucede. Si ese es el destino de uno, así va a ser el destino de uno y el destino nadie lo cambia.
He says, I don't regret anything. If that's destiny, and that was my destiny, nobody can change that.
Hey, that's a fitting way almost to finish this evening. I don't regret anything. We certainly don't regret having you here this evening. Just before you leave the stage, Roberto, who do you think, excluding yourself, and it doesn't have to be someone you fought, who, in your opinion, was the greatest of all time? Who was the greatest for Roberto Duran?
Alguien que no haya peleado, usted no tiene que ser alguien que haya peleado con usted ni nada. Boxeador, ¿quién usted cree que ha sido el mejor boxeador de todos los tiempos?
¡Me!